Hello guys, been a while. Today we are talking about Elastic Beanstalk. So this is an AWS service. So the definition I like is this one. So Elastic Beanstalk is a platform within AWS that is used to deploying and scaling web applications. In simple terms, this platform as a service takes your application code and deploys it while provisioning the supporting architecture and compute resources required for your code to run. Elastic Beanstalk also fully manages the patching and security updates for those provisioned resources. So you'd have an application that you built that you want to deploy. You'd go into Elastic Beanstalk and say, okay, I'm looking for this kind of storage, I'm looking for this kind of operating system. I'm using Node.js 20. This is my server. So you have two options, Nginx and Apache, and you just say, okay, go. And then it deploys all that for you and manages it. As they say, also manages the security patching and updates. The best image I have is for this guy. Let's give credit, not just stealing. This is a good example. You'd see if you wanted to do something that similar to what Elastic does, you'd have to create an EC2 and then figure out the load balancing of the application and scaling, and also scaling of the storage using Elastic Storage and CloudWatch and Elastic IP to configuring your own security groups. So as you can see, this would be a really tough process. That's why basically they have something like Elastic Beanstalk for you to just choose like Lego pieces of what you want, and then it just puts them together and manages it for you. So basically what's inside this is an application. So the top layer of all of it, it's an application. Let's just sort of read through this. Elastic Beanstalk enables and manages all the resources that run your application as environments. Here are some key Elastic Beanstalk concepts. An Elastic Beanstalk application is a logical collection of Elastic Beanstalk components, including environments, versions, and environment configurations. So think of this like the application like a folder, right? You have that folder, and then you have environments in there, and you have configurations, and you have versions of your application. So application version is in Elastic Beanstalk. An application version refers to a specific labeled iteration of the deployable code for a web application. An application version points to an Amazon Simple Storage Service S3 object that contains the deployable code. So a version is just a version of a particular iteration in time of your application. So you can go back to it if your recent deployment of the version was not set up correctly. An environment is a collection of AWS resources running an application version. Each environment runs only one application version at a time. However, you can run the same application version or different application versions in many environments simultaneously. So I think that's like the top level understanding that you need to like get started. But if you feel you need more, this is the URL. Now to the fun stuff.
And now for something completely different.
So let's close this and this. So basically you are going to start from this window, so you can just click Elastic Beanstalk or search here Elastic Beanstalk. So this is the Elastic Beanstalk window, and you can choose to create an environment. So we are going to choose web server environment. So this is for like your websites, your web API, HTTP request stuff. So let's give it a name. So this will be our application. We are going to take the our naming convention. So as I said, you have an application, and then under it you have an environment. So as you can see, when you create an application, it also tries to fill a little of your environment name. So it just dash in an env at the end of it, and then we choose our domain. So we can give it anything. So it's our URL. No, I think our simple URL. This is the URL we will be using. So it's tagged to .us east 1. This is our operating region. And you can check availability if that is available. If you are using something that is not available, it will give you an error. But I think we are good. So here the option for the platform type, we choose managed. So Elastic can manage all of that for us. And this is where we choose our platform. So as usual, we've been going with Node.js. We'll go with Node.js again. And this is the Node.js version that we are running. And we are running on a version of Linux that is 64-bit. And yeah. So the uploading code, we use a sample code just to not introduce complexities, because sometimes the way that you package your code can prevent Elastic Beanstalk from working properly. So we have to work with known quantities basically. So we are going to choose the free tier one because we are just doing examples here, learning. So we click next. So now this is where the complexity starts. This is the part where you have to understand what's happening. You see? So as you can see, this is empty. This is empty. I'm not sure if this is empty. Yeah, this only has this, but I'm gonna walk you through how to do all these properly in a way that it's not confusing for you. So we'll start with row. So we'll start with this row and the EC2 instance profile. So also remember that these two are rows. They are the same. So let's look at what they define a row as. So if you get in here, rows are entities you create and assign specific permissions to that allow trusted identities such as workforce identities and applications to perform actions in AWS. This means, for example, you have a service. So the service connects with another service and makes it do something. So you can't just do that. It just can't be left to be open. Something needs to provide permissions so that the application can speak to another application, because otherwise that's breaching of security rules. So that's where IAM rows come in. So you say, okay, I want to use something like AS3. So I want to be able to read in S3. I want to be able to update, delete in S3. But maybe I don't want people to be able to update anything. You see? So you give row these rules so that the application is able to only do what you say it should do. You see? So in here, you should search for I am, and let's create another tab for that. So remember that a row for elastic beanstalk, let me just say this is a row that you need here, the service row. Though they name it EC2 instance profile, it's also another row that needs to be created. So we are going to start with the row for elastic beanstalk. So when we get to here, we have to click on rows, and you have to click create row. So we are going to choose the service row here and choose elastic beanstalk. So here it gives us two options. I think we'll take the customizable one, though this is also okay, but we need something flexible. Not that we are going to edit it, but that's the default choice anyway. So this comes with two permissions that it gives you. One for health stuff related to an elastic beanstalk instance, and one for the service itself. So you can see it provides permissions. So these are related to load balancing. This is related to EC2 stuff and auto scaling. You see, and if we go down, we'll also see something else relating to elastic itself. So we have to click next and give it a name. So the name convention starts with our, so it's going to be our beanstalk dash row. This is the description, and you can see that's the policy, and you're going to create a row. So now we create another row. So this row will be for the profile itself. So this profile deals with EC2 related stuff. So let's remove this. We should choose service and select EC2. And it's going to show us a list, so we should leave this as defaults and click next. And then here, this is the most important part. We should go back down here and click this view instance permission profile permissions. So as you can see, there's a list here. We have elastic beanstalk web tier, and we have elastic beanstalk worker tier, and we have elastic beanstalk multi-container Docker. So when you go down here, we have to copy this and go down here and search in here. So it will give you the option, select it. So as you can see, when I select, it shows the number of permissions that I've tagged. So when you go back here, we select another one, copy, paste in here. As you can see, it has given us another option. It's adding, as you have noticed. And when you go down further, you get to the Docker one, and go back here, paste in the text box. It gives us another one. So we have tagged 3 permissions. As you can see, it's showing the 3 here. So you have to go next and give the name. So we can name this our instance profile. I think we have to name it a role because this is a role. This confused me when I was starting. So as you can see, we have tagged 3 permissions: the Docker, web tier, and worker tier. So we can create the role now. Now we have 2 rows created. And the next thing we need, so here we have the service role for Elastic, and we have the instance profile. So when we refresh this and click the drop down, you can see our beanstalk role and our instance profile role. So what we need now is the keypair for EC2. So we have to also create this, and we don't create this in here too. So what is a keypair? An Amazon EC2 keypair. So a keypair consisting of a public key and a private key is a set of security credentials that you use to prove your identity when connecting to an Amazon EC2 instance. For Linux instances, the private key allows you to securely SSH into your instance. For Windows instances, the private key is required to decrypt and the administrator password. So basically, it's a key that is used to allow you to use your EC2 instance. So we need to create this. So from here, you have to go on the search for services and search EC2. You have to open it as a tab. So when you get here, as you can see, we have no instances running, but we have to scroll down on the left pane and look for key pairs. So you have to get a key pair here. We'll name it our key pair. And this is a downloadable file. So if you are using PuTTY, you can click PPK. If you are using OpenSSH, you can choose PEM. So I'll just leave it at PEM. It's not like I'm using any of this stuff. We are using it internally within AWS at this moment. So we can create our key pair. And as you can see, it downloads the key also for you so that you can use it in like OpenSSH or PuTTY. So when you get back here, we can refresh this. It's done. So when you click here, we see our key in there. So this is like the most complicated parts that people get confused with. And we can click next now. So here you want the VPC. So VPC is like a virtual private cloud. Oh, lost me there. Yeah, so you choose your VPC that you need to use. And yes, we need a public IP, and also this is the like availability zones. So I think one is enough for what we need. And we are not using any database, but if you were, you'd have to configure this. So as you go down, you can see you choose your engines and stuff like that. Click next. So this is where you also configure like your boot device stuff. I think we'll leave these things on default. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff to configure. Also security groups. even this is a security group for Radis, but as you can see, they are meant to be reused. That's why they were moved to VPC service, so that all this application can sort of share some of this stuff. So for us, we are going to leave it on default, and I think we'll also leave this on default. And be careful when configuring this. It's the difference between reliability and cost. So if you want more reliable, it's going to be costly. Here you can choose the storage that we need, also the computer architecture that we want. I'll leave this on x86, and we're going to remove this, just leave it for micro. Don't need to be charged too much, so you can click next. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff to configure, but it's just selecting what you need. So it's better than configuring a whole environment with EC2 and the other stuff. So if you choose a managed service, you have to keep the enhance health reporting selection. Let's leave all these on defaults. This is where you choose the server that you want. So there's Apache and Nginx. I think we are going to leave it on Nginx, but depending on what you want to do, I think you can change the server to what you want. And this is where you configure the environment variables for basically what your application uses. So I think we'll use this maybe in the next tutorial when you try to upload an actual example, not the sample code that we are using for control. So we can click next now, and then it will show us basically a summary of our configuration. So basically this is a summary of our configuration, all of it. And now we can click submit. So this will start provisioning all the resources that are needed, building what's required. And when it finishes, it's going to show us our health here. This will tell you whether you have problems with the configuration or not. When you don't have, it will look green, and also look in this section, because it will be telling you where it has a problem if it run into one. But otherwise, for now, we just have to wait for it to finish. And this is our domain. So if you remember, we had our simple URL.us something. So when you click this, we'll go to that sample code page. So now, but for now, we just have to wait. So as you can see, we still don't have errors yet. Ooh. It does take a while to like finish completely, but patience. Yeah, so now it has finished Not completely, but at least it's running. So now we can test our code. So as you can see, our code is working. Yes, not secure yet, but as you can see, it's working. So next we are going to try to upload some code to this. I think we'll do that in another video. I think this has run for too long. So yeah, I hope it was clear, and if anything confusing, write in the comments. And I hope you like the video. I love doing this stuff. So like, subscribe, comment, requests, stuff like that. Bye.